Hello, all, and welcome to Astro Wheel of Fortune. My name is Vlada, and I read tarot. Today, I'm doing a reading on past, present, and future. I'm going to be doing a reading on any situation. You can pick any situation that you have, anything that's bothering you, any relationship, any job situation, anything, friendship, whatever. And I'm going to try and talk about the past, the present, and the future of this situation, whatever it is that you pick. Now, I'll be giving examples, but just apply those examples to your situation. And we're going to try and do the reading that way. I've got 4 groups here today. We've got the Red Jasper group, which was going to be group 1, Citrine group 2, Malachite group 3, and Black Onyx group 4. So you can pause the video if you want and take some time to meditate over the stones, see which one's calling out to you the most. And we're going to be live shuffling on camera. I actually just got the before and the after tarot. These are the decks. So this is the before and this is the after tarot. And I'll be using my Rider-Waite tarot deck as well for the present. So I'll be doing the past, the present, and the future. So with that, let's get started. We're going to get started with group number 1, Red Jasper. Any situation that is on your mind, we're going to try to get the past, the present, and the future. I think I'm going to try and pull just one card for past, present, and future, and maybe we'll clarify them further. So let's see the past first of all. Can I get a card for the past for group 1 for this situation? Okay, they're giving me 2 cards, so I'm just going to take the 2 cards that they gave me. Okay, so this is the past. Let's pull the card for the present. Any situation, the present. Any situation, the present. The present. Oh wow, the 4 of Wands coming out twice, but it's in reverse here and it's upright here. Interesting. And then let's see the future with the after tarot. The future. Can you give me an indication for the future? Okay. I think I'm going to go with 2, since they gave me 2 for each. I'm just going to go with another one here. We've got the High Priestess in reverse for the future. And one more card. This situation. We've got the Strength card in reverse as well. A lot of reversals here. Again, I say that sometimes and I'm like, what does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. Like, the reversals are not necessarily bad or, something to worry about. Sometimes I'm like, oh, they're all reversed. But honestly, don't worry about that. So whatever situation that is playing out here, this situation is really, really intensely connected to like the spiritual world, or even potentially if you believe in past lives and past connections, it could be really rooted in a past life, this situation that you're going through. So I'm just kind of trying to get a general read, a vibe for this situation. So I do feel like it's a past life related connection or situation, or, if it's a career that you're asking about, it's a career that you were meant to revisit in this lifetime because maybe in a past life some sort of seed was planted. I think this is a situation where you are capable of feeling very at home within the situation. You are capable of having a lot of happiness within this situation, but work and adjustments will have to be made, will have to be done. So let's start with the past. So we've got the 3 of Swords in reverse and we've got the 4 of Wands in reverse. Now, I'll be reading them probably a little bit differently to the traditional meanings just because the imagery is slightly different. I feel like you tried many avenues towards this connection, situation, career, whatever it is. And every time it felt like it fell through. in the past. I feel like you tried various different communications. You tried various different thought processes. I'm almost seeing, just because the lines here are really standing out to me, like the Three of Swords are kind of in a line, and then we've got the Four of Wands here. All these lines make me think of you trying to connect to something over and over and over again, and it not quite connecting. In the past, maybe in the past you always felt like there was some sort of block, there was some sort of difficulty, the timing just wasn't right. I keep being attracted to the wheel on this card, and it's making me think of the Wheel of Fortune. It's like you, in the past, you've tried many different avenues towards this situation, towards this relationship, career, whatever the situation is, and it seemed to always, like, a roadblock came every single time. But recently you started realizing, when you look at the past within the situation, you started realizing that all these roadblocks really had some sort of purpose to fulfill. And the reason that they had this purpose is because you were meant to gather a lot of wisdom. You were meant to gather a lot of knowledge in order to create some sort of like longevity in terms of happiness within this situation. And I think that's what you're realizing currently, because we've got this Four of Wands upright here. It's like you were able to find the path. I think right now you are in a really good place. I think you feel very at home with this situation. But at the same time, the past is almost kind of dragging you back into this kind of hurt feeling. So if this is like a relationship, it could be that you are really happy in this relationship now, and you feel really content in the type of relationship that it is, and you feel really at home, and you feel really connected to your person. But the past and how long it took you to get to this person always kind of drags you down a little bit. And it almost have this feeling of like, yes, I'm really happy right now, but there's something that stops me from being satisfied with the situation, because it's almost like you haven't fully healed from the past, and how many different avenues tried you, and how many different approaches failed for you. And it almost like you are making yourself feel like a failure when you're not actually a failure. Like you got to the goal that you were trying to get to. That's what I'm getting here. It's like you got to the goal, you got to the relationship, you got to the point where you were trying to get to, but your residual emotions are not allowing you to fully enjoy it. I think you are enjoying it, especially on the physical level. So if this is a career that you maybe took a very long time to get to, or like a degree that you took years and years to get, yes, maybe it took a very long time to get there. Maybe you failed many exams, or maybe you failed this relationship in the past. But just because you failed before does not mean that it's an overall failure. It's almost like something that you've achieved is being dampened by the fact that maybe you didn't achieve it sooner, or you didn't achieve it on a certain timeline that you wanted to achieve it. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I achieved this, but really I should have achieved this like 2 or 3 years ago, or something like that. That's what I'm getting here. I feel like another thing that's coming through here is, whatever the situation is, if there's another person involved, I feel like you and this person, you really mirror each other very, very intensely. So I feel like it's not only that you were trying to achieve something, this other person was trying to achieve something as well. I feel like for a lot of you, maybe this is talking about a relationship. I think you know that you're on the right track with this person now, and I think you know that you're in a very good and harmonious kind of state with this person. Again, if it's not a person situation, please ignore this little bit where I'm talking about it. But I really feel for a lot of you, this is a situation with like a personal relationship, not necessarily a love relationship, but this could be, a friend or something like that, where maybe you had a lot of run-ins or maybe difficulties with understanding each other in the past. And you know that you understand each other now, and you know that you're on the same page now. But the fact that there were so many misunderstandings in the past are almost dampening your feelings. I'm also feeling like you're not allowing yourself to feel the hurt that you felt. There's something, just because these swords, like, I can't help but feel like with the swords not quite touching the heart, it's almost like you keep feeling like whatever hurt you about the situation in the past, it's kind of like, oh, I should be over it by now. I should be over it by now. But by not addressing these feelings from the past, you're only prolonging. It's almost like, yes, you want to enjoy the happiness and the celebration of the situation, and you want to be in this kind of like victory mode where like, I finally achieved this, I finally got this relationship, I finally got into a happy relationship, or maybe this is like, you finally got into a happy relationship where you feel loved and cared for, but you keep thinking about all the relationships you were in before that didn't treat you that way, and that makes you feel like a failure, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, this person loves me, but they're just gonna be just because this person loves me doesn't mean that I'm a good person because other people didn't love me, or something like that. Again, these are all just examples, because just adapt it to your situation. But for some reason, I'm getting a really strong feeling that it's almost like you want to brush away the occurrences of the past that relate to this situation, but at the same time, you keep reminding yourself about the occurrences of the past. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where you're like, I want to let go of these hurts, but also I feel like the hurts weren't bad enough for me to be holding on to them anyway. And so you never actually delve in and feel your emotions deeply and allow yourself to process those emotions. And so they're always kind of dragging behind you. For some of you, this could be a situation if you're looking at childhood trauma or something like that, or some sort of family situation that you're afraid that you're going to end up mirroring like your parents' like your parents' relationship or the family life that you had as a child. There could be, even though that's not what's going to happen, but the fact that maybe you're not delving in deep enough into your own, and again, I'm not calling anybody out, I'm just saying there could be maybe a need to go and delve deeper into the hurts and allow yourself to feel hurt about things that happened in the past, in your childhood, etc., to heal them, so that they're not constantly posing as like this threat that you're going to repeat the same mistakes that the people around you have made. There's a real fear of making the same mistakes over and over again, even though on a conscious level, on a logical level, you know that you're not going to make the same mistake again. But what if I do? That's what I'm getting. It's like I'm hearing you say, but what if I do? But what if I do? I know I won't, and I know I spot toxicity, or I spot things that are difficult and I kind of nip them in the bud. But what if one day I don't spot it? What if one day I don't notice it? You could be someone who had a very difficult past and a very difficult childhood even, and it's like you are actually in a really good place now, and you're in a place where you're able to celebrate a lot, and you're able to have you're able to have very healthy relationships, you're able to have very healthy ways, but it's almost like you're always feeling the threat of it being taken away from you. If it is a career situation, maybe you've been in really horrible places, or you worked in really terrible, you worked terrible jobs where there wasn't a lot of respect given, and now you know how to create boundaries in a job situation, you know how to create happiness in your own career progression, and you know what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow, but at the same time you're like, what if it slips in, or something like that. Again, adapt it to your own situation. Now, what's in the future? So within this situation, the future really is that if you don't address this whole idea, I feel like you are somebody who is very strict with yourself, and when time comes to feeling for yourself and really giving yourself compassion, it's something that you seem to struggle to do for yourself. And I think in the future, you're really going to be challenged to give yourself compassion. You're going to be challenged to process some very serious subconscious things. I think there's a lot of subconscious. I think on a conscious level, you're someone who's very successful. You're somebody who knows what you want from life. You know how you want to proceed in life. But on a subconscious level, there's a lot of things that are lurking beyond the surface. So I feel like your guides are kind of trying to highlight to you that subconsciously there are things that have potential to sabotage you, but I feel like the reason that you're not looking at your subconscious is not because you're like, not because you don't think that there's anything there. And in fact, I think you intuitively feel like, yeah, there are more things there. There's more to explore. There's more to uncover. There's more to heal on a subconscious level. But it's more so because you almost feel like you don't deserve compassion and you don't deserve healing. On some sort of level, sometimes I get a really strong feeling that you almost feel like you don't deserve healing, because I'm kind of hearing the type of thing of like, oh, other people could have it worse than me and they deserve healing. There's way worse things happening in the world right now, or these things were in the past, so why would I be focusing on healing them now? I want to focus on the present. And again, yes, you have the right idea, and I think you are someone who's really good at being in the present moment. But if we don't address our subconscious fears, our subconscious, I think maybe you have some subconscious fears that come out very unexpectedly and maybe even scare you sometimes, but instead of kind of like addressing them and going, wait a minute, why did that happen here? Why did this situation, I feel like maybe the situation you're asking about has had a lot of triggers for you, and these triggers could stem from childhood. They could stem from the past in general. If there is a current situation that you're dealing with that you're like, this is a happy situation and I'm in a really good place right now, and I feel like I want to celebrate the place where I'm at presently, but why am I being so triggered? It's because other residual things from the past have not been healed on a subconscious level. It's like consciously you maybe let go of them, but on a subconscious level things weren't processed. So I feel like in the future you're really going to be challenged to look at this subconsciously and to look at your subconscious fears. Maybe I feel like you're somebody who doesn't like to show others or even show yourself that things can hurt you and that things can scare you. I feel like you're somebody who likes to show up in the world as fearless and like it's impossible to scare you. It's impossible, nothing scares me, nothing could hurt me because I've been through these stages of life, or I've been through these hurts before. I couldn't be hurt. I couldn't be, fear couldn't have a hold over me. And I think your guides are really wanting you to almost be vulnerable with yourself. You don't even need to be vulnerable with other people, but there's something about being vulnerable with yourself and going, yes, I am susceptible to fear. I'm human. Every human is susceptible to fear. Every human is susceptible to trauma, to anxiety, and giving yourself that compassion and I am susceptible to fear and there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of what I'm getting. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I think you're really going to be challenged, and I feel maybe some of you are gonna maybe you're considering some sort of like therapy work, or maybe you're trying to figure out a way to go kind of like on that kind of like deeper level to understand your subconscious. But I feel like that's going to be a big this situation is going to kind of feed into this for some reason. If you're even just asking about a job, this could be a deep fear of like lack mentality, or something like that. Like, oh, if I don't do this or I don't get this kind of job, that's it, I will not have money and I'll be left out on the street or something like that. There are these kind of fear, again, adapted to your own situation. It could be like, oh, if I there could be a fear of intimacy or something like that, again depending on your situation, because we are trying to read for every situation possible. But I feel like you're really being challenged by your guides to have more compassion for yourself and to look at these subconscious fears that are keeping you kind of like on a tight leash subconsciously, while consciously seemingly you are way past the events of the past. It's like if someone was to look at you, they would say that you are in a really great place and you're doing really well for yourself, which you are. I think you are. But it's like not many people know what goes on behind the scenes on this very deep subconscious level with you. And that's something that your guides are saying, you don't have to show it to anybody else, but you need to show that to yourself. You need to admit the fears that you do have to yourself. So that's what I've got for you. Group number 1, that was really interesting. I hope you enjoyed this reading. if you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment. And I'm going to move on with pile or group 2 with the citrine. We're going to look at the past, the present, and the future of the situation that you're asking about. Okay, let's see. The past. What is the past for group 2, citrine group, the past of this situation? Okay, they're just giving me one card, so I'm just going to go with one card. We've got the High Priestess in reverse for the past, okay? And the present. The Empress. Okay, cool. And the future. The Moon card in reverse. Okay. So I feel I'm probably going to clarify with a couple of cards, because I did have two cards for past, present, and future in the last group, but I think I'm just going to start out with the one card for each tense, and then I'm going to add. But I feel like, okay, first of all, there are two blockages of intuition indicated here to me, with the High Priestess in reverse and the Moon being in reverse. In the past, I feel like whatever the situation is, whatever you're asking about, you really blocked your intuition towards the situation. You did not want to listen to your intuition. Maybe it's also because your intuition wasn't very developed, which I feel like it is now. I feel like you spend time developing your intuition between... especially when it came to this situation, you've really spent time developing your intuition. In the past, though, I feel like your intuition was underdeveloped. You didn't have that much knowledge yet. I feel like for some of you who picked this pile, maybe you are very intuitive people, very psychic. You're very connected to your ancestors, I'm getting as well. You're really connected to like some sort of almost internal knowledge, but that wasn't always the case. And I feel like in this situation, whatever you're asking about, relationship, career, friendship, whatever it is, you didn't listen to your intuition. You avoided intuition. You avoided instinctual kind of feelings. I feel like your own intuition kind of scared you in the past when it came to this situation. So let's see what else about the past. Your intuition, I feel, was trying to communicate with you. Very, like, there was a real attempt to... I feel like your ancestors were trying to communicate with you about the situation before. It's like they kept trying to explain the situation to you. They kept giving you signs. I'm even getting, like, see the way we've got the salamander in the clouds. It's almost like they maybe gave you signs through clouds or through imagery. And it's like, yes, you did see it and you definitely noticed it, but maybe it scared you rather than give you clarity. It scared you rather than give you an understanding of the situation. So you tended to avoid it. I think for a lot of you, over time, these messages, I feel like your guides or your ancestors, these messages became impossible to ignore. That's what I'm getting about the situation, about whatever you're asking about. In the past, it became impossible to ignore, and you saw no other choice but to start training your intuition. Even if it was on a subconscious level, one day you were just like, I need to start listening to my intuition more. I need to start listening to my gut more. I feel like there's something about your guides literally forcing you to listen to your intuition and to listen to the signs that they send you. I'm almost getting like a 7 of Wands vibe. I know this is an 8 of Wands, but I'm almost getting like your guides pointing at you and going, you're going to listen to us. You're going to listen to what we have to say, because this is really, really important. I feel whatever situation you're asking about, this is not like a little, I feel like there's something big at play here. You know, this is not a small kind of like everyday situation. This feels a little bit bigger and grander. So for a lot of you, this is like maybe this is like a relationship that's really, really big and important, or it could be like a big career move or something like that. For some of you, maybe your guides kept showing you that the career or the jobs that you were doing were not for you. They wanted to really prove it to you. They wanted to show you signs that you need to get out of there. And yeah, eventually I feel like they were just so loud, it was very hard to ignore them. Maybe the universe intervened in some sort of way. Again, it doesn't have to necessarily be a job. I'm just giving examples to make it easier to understand. Or maybe you kept being told that a relationship is for you or not for you, and it almost like they almost needed to do something quite dramatic in order to get the message across for you, group 2. Okay, so the present moment, I feel like you are in a really good place with this situation. You're growing rapidly. You are really abundant in the way that you are able to channel your energy. There's just constant creation when it comes to this situation. You're creating more happiness, you're creating more love, you're putting more nurturing into this every day. You're paying very close attention to it's kind of like the situation is a plant or a flower, and you're constantly looking after it. You never forget to water it, you never forget to have it in the sun. You're always there to take care of it. So this situation is being really nicely nurtured by you right now. Okay, so we've got the 5 of Swords. I feel like even when there is internal conflict, and I feel like you do potentially periodically get this internal conflict within yourself about the situation, especially like we're talking about present moment. Maybe you're in some sort of internal conflict currently because you feel like you're either not good enough, or you feel like you're gonna get tricked in some sort of way in this situation. Maybe there are feelings of, this is too good to be true, that kind of feeling that I'm getting. I feel like even when these kind of thoughts do come in, you make sure to scale back and go, I'm still gonna nurture the situation. You're trying not to focus too much on the what ifs, even though naturally I feel like the what ifs keep coming up for you. So maybe you're naturally quite an anxious person or something like that. Maybe you do have overthinking tendencies. There could be this kind of worry of what if this, and you can very easily jump to the worst possible scenario, but I feel like your guides always pull you back. And it's because you learned how to listen to their messages. It's because you maybe even developed a certain language. Maybe some of you do read tarot, but maybe you developed a certain language with your guides that when you do have doubts, you're able to get reassurance from your guides on this situation. You're able to work out what is right, like what serves you and what doesn't serve you. So you're not in this situation of the past where you were this high priestess in reverse, where you were constantly running from your intuition and running from messages. Instead, you're welcoming messages, even if they're not necessarily messages that you might want to hear. That's what I'm getting. Now, what's in the future? We've got the Moon card in reverse, but I want to clarify it before I go further. We've got the Devil in reverse. Okay, fear, releasing of fear. That's definitely what's coming through. That's a very, 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 very intense message of releasing fear. It's funny because the first group had a lot of messages of releasing fear, but I feel like it's slightly different for you. If there was a subconscious release of fear, I feel for you, it's more so when it pertains to this situation, and we were talking about these what ifs that you may have. You're releasing these what ifs. You are releasing, you're not afraid. This is almost like a journey of not being afraid of your intuition anymore and stepping into it, not being afraid of your guides. And I feel like you're just going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it until you feel so comfortable with your intuition. You feel so comfortable with your guides that they're not scary to you anymore. They are, even when the message is not something that you want to hear, even when the message maybe is uncomfortable, it feels right to you and you feel grateful for it. It's almost like this almost feels like a timeline of being scared of your intuition, being terrified of your intuition, and running from your intuition, to getting to a place where you are at one with your intuition, and your intuition is, even though something that was maybe scary to you in the past is like your friend, your mentor. So I think you're on the right track, and I feel like mostly your guides are just trying to say, in this situation, the way that you're executing this situation, this project, this relationship, this situation, whatever it is that you're actually thinking about, you're on a really good track, and you're on, especially for those of you, let me know if you are a tarot reader, let me know if you're a psychic or a medium or something like that, if you work in like the spiritual industry, because I really feel like a lot of you who pick this pile have like a future in some sort of spiritual, even if it's not for like business or finance purposes, or earning money purposes, even if it's just for your own self-development and self-growth, I feel like you're going to get deeper and deeper into it, and you're going to gather more knowledge. The more knowledge you gather, the better it gets, the more comfortable you are going to get. If you're asking about like a career situation, and the way that you navigate your career is with your intuition now, and you navigate your career, let's say even if you were like an accountant or something like that, but you navigated your career, and maybe you consulted tarot, maybe you meditated and asked your guides for signs when you were trying to move companies or move accounting agencies, for your job, that's still valid, so that's what I'm trying to say. Or maybe this is like you're navigating a relationship with your intuition, rather than with your fear. I'm kind of getting, it's almost like you're coming home to yourself slowly. It's almost like maybe you started out your life being afraid of your own, like I'm even getting like being afraid of being within your own body. I don't know if you were someone who spent a lot of time in your imagination early on in life, maybe even in childhood, but in the past in general. And more because of your connection to your guides, and your connection to your intuition, and your kind of like spiritual abilities, you are allowing yourself to come home into your own body, and you feel more safe, more and more safe. I feel like especially when it comes to this situation, there have been people that tried to overthrow you in some sort of way. So there could be, if this is a job situation, maybe colleagues tried to kind of like sabotage you. If this is a relationship, maybe third parties or people butting into your relationship, there could have been that kind of sabotage that came in. Or maybe what you adapted to your situation, as I said to the first group. Make sure you're adapting it to what resonates with you, because again, I said any situation possible. But with the Empress card, I'm really seeing you just realize how powerful you are, because you are the High Priestess and the Empress here. You're realizing how powerful you are, and you're realizing how many resources you have when it comes to inner willpower. You can beat out any competition. For some of you, maybe you are in a job where you are sometimes worried that you're not able to, it's like I couldn't hold a candle to some of the people in this job or in this line of career. And your guides are really trying to come in and say, in the future, you're going to see just how capable you are. And I feel like it's the near future, because I'm seeing it with the Five of Swords here. Just how capable you are of beating out competition, of not even beating out competition as if there is competition, just how capable you are of just standing in your own power and taking what is rightfully yours. There's a lot of kind of energy of like taking what's rightfully yours. So if there's a relationship that you're fighting for, and maybe you and your, that you are happy in the relationship, but maybe there are external parties that are messing with it, you're going to take what's rightfully yours if it's that relationship. If this is a job or a career where maybe people are trying to sabotage you, or, it doesn't have to be that dramatic as well. Please keep in mind, sometimes things sound very dramatic when you read tarot, but or people are trying to undermine you in some sort of way in a job situation, you're going to get what's rightfully yours. That raise, that promotion, that success in your business, you're going to get what's rightfully yours. And that's going to happen when you are able to stand over your fears, and stand over your fears of I feel like you're so powerful, group 2, that sometimes it scares you yourself. For some of you, I almost feel you're so aware of how powerful you are and how you could potentially trample the people that are trying to sabotage you. But you're like, I'm not going to do that, but I know I could. And it's almost like it scares you. It's like that coworker that's trying to sabotage you. You're fully aware that you could absolutely sabotage them back and probably get them worse than they'll ever get you. But you're not that kind of person, and you're not interested in that. But it's almost like sometimes there's really powerful energy here, and it's almost like that power. So you are like, there's almost like this fear of like, what if I use the power that I've been given? And it sounds so dramatic, but I promise it's, you can adapt it to a smaller situation, but it does feel quite powerful. Like, what if the power that I was given, yes, it's great and I'm really happy that I'm developing it, but you're so afraid of like using it for bad, or becoming too egotistical, or becoming too self-involved. I feel like you have very strong morals, really high morals, and you try to keep yourself in check. So whatever the situation is, I feel like you're always keeping yourself in check, because there's almost this feeling of, oh, I could sabotage this person. I could end this person's career. I could end this person's, I'm about to end this man's whole career. Like, literally that kind of vibe. But you're like, but I'm not going to. And I'm not going to because I'm scared or anything like that. I'm not going to because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to expose this person because I am not trying to sabotage people, And I feel like you always make sure to check yourself. That's coming through really strongly. And I feel like in the future, that's another thing that you're always going to do. You're always going to check yourself. Maybe that's what it is. It's like you've seen other powerful people who went unchecked, and I feel like maybe presently you're seeing people that maybe have a certain level of power, but they always went unchecked, and so they did some bad things. You are making sure that you're not going to be that person. You're making sure that you're not going to be you want to be powerful. I think you want to harness as much of your own power as possible, but you don't want to be someone who abuses your powerful energy, if that makes sense. And I think in the future, that's something that you're very, very careful of checking yourself on. Really interesting reading, group 2, citrine group. So let me know how that resonated. If it did, if you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I'm going to move on. We're going to move on to the next group, and that's the Malachite group. So Malachite group, let's see, group number 3. Past, present, and future in regards to your situation, any situation that you want. Try and adapt it as well as you can. I'll try and give a couple of examples, etc. Okay. So the past. Okay, this card is like staring at me. Okay, we've got the Page of Wands, and we've also got the 8 of Wands. Okay. And then present. I feel like I want to shuffle it. So regarding this past or this situation, what is the present? That's what I'm trying to get. Okay. 5 of Cups and 4 of Pentacles. And the future of the situation. The future of the situation. We've got Ace of Cups. First of all, I'm going to just pick one more card. Okay. Okay, 2 more cards. We've got the 7 of Pentacles and the Devil in reverse. Both of them in reverse. Okay. I'm just going to take the 3 cards there. I was only picking 2 for the other piles, but we can just go ahead and okay. So I feel like in the past, with the specific situation that you're asking about, things went really, really fast. They went really, really fast, almost too fast. I feel like there's some sort of a regret here regarding the situation. You feel like things advanced too fast. Things were very passionate. Things were very it's like there wasn't a lot of time to think about things. You saw what you liked. I feel like it's positive energy. And I feel like in the past, you felt very positively about the situation. You felt like things were, there's real optimism here in the past. But I feel like looking back at it now in the present moment, even though you have a fond kind of memory of things being fun and exciting and optimistic, there's some sort of regret that things went too quickly or too fast. It's almost like it ended as quickly as it started, or maybe it kind of has a feeling of like it was so much fun, but it was going so quickly I didn't have time to stop and like actually appreciate the moment. It kind of, for some reason, the idea of like, when couples are getting married and they have like their wedding or whatever, they always talk about how the day goes by so fast you don't even remember much of the day because it's so busy and everything's so quick. So I feel like your guides are kind of coming in and saying like, it could be that kind of feeling. Like it's almost like it came as quickly as it went. Yeah. And I think it's something that wasn't necessarily like a negative experience, but you almost wish you had more time, or you wish that you were able to take like a mental snapshot of it, when it was happening, hold on to that feeling a little bit more. Now in the present, again, I'm getting like this holding on to the feelings, the positive feelings that you did have with this situation. I feel like right now you're trying to kind of salvage and savor any sort of feelings that are left. So I'm seeing with the Five of Cups, it's like the traditional way that the three of the cups are spilled, but then there's also two of the cups that are still standing. So it's kind of like you are focusing on the two of the cups that are still standing. You're trying to kind of savor any sort of connection. So for example, if this was a relationship, maybe you're trying to save any sort of remnants of that connection. Maybe you're not in a relationship with this person anymore, but maybe you're hoping to hold on to like having them as a friend on Facebook, or following them on social media or something like that, or you're trying to savor them as a friend, and it's kind of affecting you a little bit. I am seeing that. Now again, apply this to your situation, please. This could be to do with a job, maybe work experience or something that went by so fast and it was so much fun and it was great, but you wish that you could it's almost, there's a little bit of a nostalgic feeling here. Like, I wish I could go back to those good times. I wish I could. But there's almost this feeling of, oh, I was really innocent. I was really naive, and I was maybe even a little bit immature when it was happening. If this kind of experience happened to me right now, I would know to appreciate it more. There's almost that kind of feeling of like, I wish I appreciated what I had then. I wish I appreciated something that was going to be so fleeting. It's a very poignant kind of feeling, energy, very bittersweet, because I feel like the memories are positive, but it's almost like, oh, I wish I could get a moment of that in a bottle and bottle it up and be able to just like access it anytime I need to. So that's the way that the situation really feels to me in the present moment. Like, there's a reminiscing and holding on to the past, holding on to things that didn't go right, holding on to the things that did go right. But overall, it's like trying to hold on to the feeling of excitement and fun and optimism that you felt in this situation. Now, in the future, I am excited to say that I think you're going to be able to channel this kind of excitement and this kind of fun within this situation, and to really start something new. Now, if you are asking about something that you feel has ended, or maybe hasn't necessarily ended, but maybe is going through a bit of a tough cycle right now, I do think that you're going to go into a new beginning with the situation in the future. I think there's going to be a new beginning. There's going to be a new opportunity to feel a lot of love, to feel a lot of excitement and fun. I just think this card is really nice and really, there's a lot of like emotion in this card. specifically with this Ace of Cups. 8 of Cups. I said 8 of Cups by an accident. So maybe something needs to be left emotionally in order for this emotional beginning to occur. I feel like for most of you, this feels very emotionally connected rather than, something very physical. It feels a little bit more, it doesn't feel like a mindset necessarily, but it feels like you seem to think that you can't replicate something emotionally here. And your guides are coming in and saying you can, but there is a need to also let go of certain things emotionally in order to replicate this kind of feeling. There's almost this, I feel like in the present moment, you're really seeing yourself as very naive and immature, which is like, yeah, maybe you were, but also at the same time, everyone was naive and immature at some point. And everyone is always your past version of you is always going to be more naive and immature than you present you. Like, it's always going to be the case. So I feel like your guides are almost saying, like, there's no point in feeling disappointed. There's no point in feeling upset about being naive or immature in the past, because that's always going to be the case. You're not the only person in the world that has been immature, that has been naive, or did something silly out of sheer kind of like impulse. And I don't think you even did anything necessarily silly. I just feel like there's almost this feeling of, if I had the knowledge I know I have now, I would have taken it in more. I would have appreciated it more. But it's kind of like the guides are saying, like, of course, that's literally the whole point of life. Like, if we knew, back then what we know now, of course we do things differently, but that's the whole point of lessons, because you're going to find yourself in a situation that potentially is very similar to the situation, but is disguised as something new, where you're able to have these kind of fun emotions and full emotions and fulfilling kind of this fulfilling excitement and love, maybe not necessarily with the same person, with the same job, with the same etc. Apply it to yourself again, as I said. Maybe it's not with the same person or the same situation, but you are going to be able to replicate something here, the same type of excitement, love, connection, again, apply to your situation. You're going to be able to replicate it, and this time around, because you have had this life lesson, you're going to be able to really appreciate it and really be there in the moment and really connect to it in a way that maybe you didn't connect to this situation in the past. Now, not necessarily, if you're asking about like a relationship, I'm not necessarily getting that this is going to be with the same person, but I feel like your guides are trying to reassure you, like, yes, but you will be able to replicate those feelings, if not better, because to me, when I look at the Ace of Cups, feelings and emotions are much stronger and much deeper and much more profound than a Page of Wands would convey. Your guides are almost trying to show you that you think this was serious or strong feelings. We'll show you what strong feelings really are. We'll show you what you're capable of feeling and what you're capable of experiencing. Again, if it's like a career, maybe you are disappointed because you left some sort of job, or maybe you only had a fleeting amount of time in a position or something like that, and the guys are saying, like, just wait till you see what kind of emotional fulfillment you're capable of having in a job. But for this, you are going to have to be patient. You're going to have to take your time. You're going to have to allow the universe to bring it in when you're ready, because in the present moment, you are still holding on to the things from the past a little bit. You're still holding on to certain feelings. You're still holding on to maybe the idea that, oh, I can only have this kind of type of emotion or this kind of excitement with this person. Oh, that's my alarm for no good reason. I have random alarms. I hope that didn't disturb you too much. But as I was saying, it's kind of like maybe right now you're sitting with the feeling of, oh, I could only have this kind of love or this excitement with this type of person or job. Whereas the guides are kind of saying, no, you can have it with a variety of different people, with a variety of different jobs, or with a variety of different experiences or situations. And we need you to let go of the idea that that kind of love or that kind of feelings or that kind of care is only available to you with certain people or situations. But But yeah, I think you're gonna have to be patient with this situation. But your guides are really, I feel like your guides are like, oh, we're gonna prove to you that you are able to have amazing happiness, and enjoyment and fulfillment that, you know, you haven't even experienced that type of enjoyment and fulfillment yet. You think this is amazing, like this in the past was amazing. Wait till you see what we have for you in the future. That's the energy that I'm getting for this pile or group. So that's the reading that I got for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you thought of this reading. And I'm going to move on. So the last group, last but not least, we've got the Black Onyx, group 4. So we're going to have a look at the past, present, and future of your situation. Any situation you're asking about, any relationship, anything. We're going to try and relate it as much as possible. I'm going to give examples, so just try and adapt it to your situation. Past is Temperance in reverse. Okay, present. Present is the Knight of Swords. And the future is this one, the Magician. Okay, wow. So whatever the situation is, I feel like you're not a very patient person, and I don't mean this as an insult. I think you're always ready for more. You're like progress. You are so focused on progress. You're so focused on results. And you're not going to wait for anybody to help you to create your reality, to create your perfect life. You are someone who's very determined on creating the perfect life for yourself. That is definitely something that's coming through here. This is just like the overall vibe I'm feeling for this situation. This situation has happened because you made it happen, really. I feel like this is something you went after. This is something that you made happen. This is your work, you know. You are the creator of the situation. Again, whether you deem the situation as negative or positive, even if this experience wasn't the most positive, this is still bringing you serious results in the future. So I'm going to pull some clarifying cards for these as well. I just started out with, okay, I'm just going with whatever I feel for each group. But with the Temperance card in the past, I feel like you were feeling very imbalanced. You were feeling, before the situation came about, or just before, or, kind of like in the past of the situation, you felt very imbalanced. You felt like you weren't being true to yourself. You were just kind of going through the motions. You weren't paying attention. And really, you were just gathering information as well. There's a lot of to me, there's a lot of messages of gathering information. You're constantly gathering information. Very mercurial energy with this pile. I feel like a lot of you have very strong Mercury in your chart, and something that's coming through here is that in the past you felt like you couldn't really make many steps. You couldn't take too many actions because you were constantly gathering information for yourself for this situation. It took you a long time to gather information. I feel like you're somebody who thinks about things quite diligently, but it doesn't mean that you are like that kind of person who thinks and then makes a decision. A lot of the time I feel like you're the kind of person that makes a decision, takes the step, and then overthinks about it, maybe potentially. Okay, we got 2 cards, but we're just gonna take it. Okay. Yeah, you were taking your time gathering information. That is something that's coming through here in the past about the situation. You weren't rushing anything, to be honest. I feel like you felt impatient and you felt antsy, and you were ready to it's not that you were ready to go after something here, but I feel like it's kind of like where let's say you were really, really excited to like bake a cake or something like that. But before you bake a cake, you have to measure out all the ingredients, and you have to get all your prep stuff. And you need to read the recipe, and you need to read, the instructions or whatever. I feel like that's the kind of energy that you were channeling here. It's like you were ready to do something, but you also knew that you had to gather information first. You knew that you had to step back and allow the information to come to you. If let's say the analogy of the cake, it's like you knew you had to preheat the oven first, and it's like, okay, I really want to bake the cake. I really would love to rush into it because I'm the kind of person who's really enthusiastic. A lot of Gemini energy here, Mercury energy. So you're someone who's really, really enthusiastic. You're somebody who's always ready to go. But in this specific situation, you knew you had to take it slow and you had to gather information. And sometimes it honestly pretty much killed you. It killed you to gather this information. It killed you to take this long. But you knew that if you didn't gather information, you didn't take your time, and you didn't allow this situation to marinate enough, that you potentially could screw it over or screw it up. And I feel like in the past, you were trying to be as wise as possible about this, even though I feel like, usually you can be quite impulsive and spontaneous. So I feel like it's props from your guides, and your guides are trying to kind of like commend you for having that patience and taking that time. And like I'm getting the idea of like, because there's a lot of butterflies coming in here, it's kind of like things needed to transform on their own time. So they're really happy that you allowed things to transform around you while you gathered information. It's almost like I'm getting your guides are this person placing the crown on this person's head. It's like they're like, you did well. Okay, so in the present moment, I feel like you're finally ready to be taking action. And I think you are either in the process of taking action about this situation, or you're on the edge of your seat and you're ready to take action. Okay, we've got the 7 of Wands in reverse and 2 of Cups. For some of you, maybe this is a relationship situation where you're ready to take action on some sort of relationship. I do feel like you with all the information that you have gathered and all the waiting that you have done, you feel ready. You feel like you're capable, but at the same time, you're not willing to compromise who you are for this situation, relationship, career, whatever it is. So there's a little bit of an internal, I wouldn't even say it's an internal conflict, but you're always giving yourself memos and bullet points of like, I want this. I want to get from point A to point B, but in order to get to point B, in the process of getting to point B, I'm not going to compromise who I am as a person. I'm not going to compromise what I believe in. I'm not going to compromise what I want from life. Whatever this career requires of me, I'll see, that's fine, but I'm never going to compromise myself. Whatever this relationship needs from me, I'll do whatever I can. I'll compromise best I can, but I'm not going to compromise the very integral parts of me. So there's a real deliberate kind of nature to you when it comes to this situation. It's like what you want, how you want to get it. You'll compromise on certain things, but there's also plenty of non-negotiables that you have as well, which is really, honestly, this is like, I feel like this is just a big props to you from your guides. I think your guides are just trying to be like, you really handled this situation well, and you didn't get too defensive, and you didn't get too pushy. You maybe even had to step back and teach yourself how to compromise and how to be diplomatic in this situation, because I feel like sometimes maybe you are somebody who, not that you struggle with the diplomacy, but maybe sometimes you don't like people compromising you. You don't like people telling you what to do or pushing you to do something. And this situation made you see that sometimes people are not pushing you to do something, but they really need you to compromise, and they really need to see that you can meet them halfway. And I think your guys are they're very impressed by how you have handled this situation. Especially in the present moment, the way that you're taking action is really it's not overly defensive. It's not overly it's not rooted in the ego. It's rooted almost in this like logical understanding. There's not a lot of emotion here. That's the only thing. And again, not in a bad way. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I feel like you're trying to approach the situation as logically as possible. You're trying to have really good communication. Communication is really good here. So I feel whatever you're doing, your guides are really commending you for your communication skills, whether it's with a person or a boss or, what with the universe, because I think for a lot of you this is a manifestation situation. Like, you've manifested this, but you manifested it by sitting back, receiving information, collecting data. For some reason that came through, collecting energy, information, data on this situation, observing it, and then taking action, and implementing action, but also allowing the idea of the universe coming in and helping you as well. Like, you didn't dismiss the universe's input in this situation. So in the future, I feel like you're going to continue manifesting with this situation. You're going to continue bringing things in. You're going to start seeing results, because I think this is the after tarot, and see the way all these the wand and the pentacle, they're all going up, they're all going upwards, almost like up to the sky. I feel like you're gonna start seeing some serious results. Things are gonna really feel magical for you in this situation. You're gonna feel like you really achieved something. There's this feeling of like, I really did that. Sometimes maybe you even felt like maybe it was never going to be possible or something like that. But I feel like your guides are really trying to assure you that the more you implement this kind of sit back, gather information, observe, see how you can compromise, see what you're not going to compromise. What are your negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? Take action. I feel like your guides are saying if you keep implementing this kind of approach, you are really going to go far in this situation. And we've got the Queen of Pentacles. For a lot of you, this could be in a career situation or, a business where you're trying to figure out, like, what am I ready to negotiate? What am I not going to negotiate? What can I compromise on? What am I absolutely not compromising on? Being so strong, I feel like maybe you have this kind of, even if it's just mentally, the things that you can compromise on and the things that you would never compromise on. And I feel like in this card especially, I see that she's like looking in the reflection of the pentacle, and there's almost this feeling of satisfaction in the future, reflecting back on what you have achieved and really seeing that you put your own spin on the situation, that you were in control. You were in control of the situation, by the way. And I feel like you know that already. Whether this is a relationship or, some sort of manifestation that you're bringing in, a job, whatever, friendship, whatever it is, you're actually in control. You are, whatever you want to happen in this relationship or connection or job, you can make it happen. It's kind of like you click your fingers and it happens, but it's not in that kind of way that you are someone who's abusing the situation or somebody who is taking advantage of something. It's because you are taking the time to put the work in. You're taking the time to allow yourself to receive. It's almost like you have the perfect formula for manifesting this. So if you're asking about a specific manifestation coming in, do let me know in the comments. I'd really love to see if that's what it is, because I'm really picking up on something that you're trying to bring in. You're trying to bring in some sort of manifestation. It's coming 100%. I mean, the Queen of Pentacles, a lot of the time tarot readers say the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, they're master manifestors. And the fact that we've got this Magician card here as well, in the future, you are a master manifestor. You're bringing something in, especially, look, in any case, but if you're trying to manifest a certain amount of money or some sort of purchase or some sort of success in your career or business, that is 100% on the way to you with the way that you are approaching this situation, with how you're working. And I think your guides are really commending you for your ability. Maybe in the past you had problems or difficulties with resting, but you forced yourself to rest. You forced yourself to, you trained yourself to rest properly. And your guides are really saying that's really going to help you. Knowing when to rest, knowing when to step back and receive, knowing when to collect information rather than taking action. That's all really going to help your manifestations. And you're really, really, really on the right track with it. Yeah, I feel like I don't have much more to say to you, Group 4. This is a really positive reading. I'm really excited for your future. This manifestation is definitely in your grasp. It's within reach. So don't doubt yourself. Keep going. You are again, maybe in the past you have been a tad impulsive and maybe you jumped between different things or you jumped between different manifestations, but you seem very focused to me here. And your guides are really commending the focus, the ability to rest, the ability to put in the hard work, and the ability to observe, you know, what works and what doesn't. So yeah, the reading that I got for you, that's it. If you liked it, do like, subscribe, and comment. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.